Right, so hi everyone. Yeah, I'm going to be talking to you about trees and timber and my thoughts and how I got into the industry. So it's getting into forestry. Um, there we go. Yeah, so who am I and what do I do? So as I said, my name's Isla Campbell. And as Rebecca said, I work for Scottish Woodlands, which is a private forest management company. I work in our office in Dingwall, up in the north of Scotland, in our north region, but we have regions across Scotland. We also have an office in Ireland and England and Wales. So I work for a national company. So yeah, a bit about me and my education. I did a BSc Honours degree in forest management, as you can see there, with arboriculture and urban forestry, which is a bit of a mouthful. And I studied that at the Scottish School of Forestry, which is UHI in Inverness. So yeah, and as you can see, my role as a forest manager at Scottish Woodlands. But I started on their graduate scheme as an assistant forest manager straight out of university. I then went on to complete their graduate scheme, become an assistant manager, and just in April this year, I became a full forest manager. So already had career progression, which is great. And just a bit of, aside from my day job, a bit of volunteering. So as Rebecca said as well, I'm a Lantra industry champion. So I won a Caris Award at the Lantra Learner of the Year Awards back in 2019. And I also won, I came runner-up in the higher education category because I was studying my degree at the time. So I came in that one. And just this year as well, I've got myself signed up to be a STEM ambassador. So hopefully soon I'll be getting hooked up with schools and people that would be interested in receiving presentations and more information about forestry. So yeah, that's me. So why choose trees and timber? I think it's really important to know why this could be a good industry for you. So I think for sort of starting off, my first foot in the door, I think as John said, it's not great that it's always the way, but I had a family member and friends that I knew that were in the industry already. So I had a bit of an in. I know it's very traditional with farming that, your parents do it and then you do it, it's generational. So I think forestry has a similar element, but it's not always the case. And just in my case, it was. So yeah, so my dad is in the forestry sector as well, and so is my uncle. And so I had a bit of an insight early on, which I guess most people maybe don't, but it was just a whole world to me that I find very exciting and from a very young age. So that was a little bit of an in for me. But there's lots of other reasons why you should choose it and why it might be a good fit for you. So if you're somebody that likes the outdoors, maybe you live in the countryside or you enjoy visiting the countryside and you get enjoyment from being out and about and walking and those types of things, forestry can be a great industry for you. If you enjoy working with others and collaborating, that's another big one that is really great in the industry. You're going to come into, I think people think in forestry, oh, I'm going to work in forestry because I like trees and I maybe don't like people so much. But actually, you end up working with a lot of people in the industry. So it's great if you're able to talk to people and interact well and all those sorts of things. So if you're somebody that naturally gets along and enjoys working and collaborating, this could be the industry for you. There's also an element where no 2 days are the same. It's a very recurring theme in the land-based sectors that people say why they like their job is because no 2 days are the same. I think it can be the way when you have a role where you're in the office but you're also out and about. It means that you can pick and choose and you can manage your time potentially, and you can just sort of yeah, it's always changing, and it keeps things interesting. So if you're somebody that thinks, oh, I couldn't manage sitting down at a desk 9 to 5 5 days a week, then this can be a great industry for you as well, and as is all the land-based sectors, I would say. So another one similar to liking the outdoors, if you've got a passion for nature, wildlife and the environment in general. I think people get the idea that forestry is just cutting down trees, which it's really not. Obviously it's a massive element of the forestry industry is harvesting and felling for timber. But you can't just cut a tree down. There's processes and there's law and there's procedures and there's people to ask permission from, and there's all these things that go on in the background before you can even cut a tree down. So, and that involves wildlife. It involves assessing your environment. and caring for it. So I think people don't often think, but actually wildlife and nature and the wider environment play a massive, massive role in forestry. And also, it's an industry where you can contribute to the fight against climate change. We're planting trees, there's carbon storage, and we're constantly coming up with innovative ways and having to adapt our current machinery and procedures and things to make our industry more sustainable and contribute to climate. So it's a very interesting, innovative time to be in the industry. Okay, just to get, there we go, next slide. So in terms of pathways into forestry, there are lots of different options, which is also great, at all different levels. So I'll just start from the top of the list there. So rural skills is a subject you can study at school. Some schools offer it. I don't know how many or how many of them do, but it's something that is becoming, I think, more available. So something that you can study in school. I think it's from sort of 4th year upwards. So this could give somebody that's quite young and still in school the idea to kind of see the kind of broad, generalized kind of land-based sector with a bit of forestry in that. And that might be a really good first point and a good stepping stone to kind of see if forestry could be something for them. So that's the kind of first kind of like sort of entry level you can get as rural skills. Next would be sort of modern apprentices in trees and timber. And this would be really setting you up for a quite practical job. So for somebody like Forestry and Land Scotland, which is the government agency which manage and run all of the publicly owned forests in Scotland, they have a role as a craftsperson where you'd be doing quite practical jobs. You'd be on the chainsaws, you'd be doing path maintenance, planting, maintenance, those types of jobs. So the modern apprenticeship role in trees and timber is a really good way for that. So if you have qualifications from school and you really enjoy practical learning, that could definitely be a route in for you. Further education level 4 to 6, so that's sort of certificates in forestry. Again, they can be quite practically driven and set you up quite well for practical jobs within the industry. Again, this could be operating machinery, planting, maintenance, cutting down trees, those sorts of really vital jobs that we still have in the industry. On to the next one would be your higher education. Obviously, like the route that I took. So I left school at the end of 5th year with 4 hires. And decided to go to college. I decided that was a better use of my time than staying on till 6th year. And I had the qualifications and managed to get the results I needed. So I started at an HNC level. I actually studied countryside and environmental management at SREC first before I went to the Scottish School of Forestry and started the degree programme there. So these are, again, courses which have natural progression. You can start in HNC and work your way up, or you could leave after 2 years and have a diploma. So it's really flexible, and if you get the grades from secondary school, it's a good place. It can be a good place to start if you see yourself looking to maybe be in a graduate scheme or in walking into kind of immediately into a more kind of professional role. So that's a good option as well. And yeah, so an HNC, HND, BScs and honours would definitely set you up for more of a supervisor's role or for a sort of management level. And those types of jobs. And then, as I say, like I was lucky enough as well, there's graduate development programs. If you studied forestry, you have a degree. Or even if you have a degree in a similar subject, it could be geography, it could be environmental science. Graduate development programs are open. There's an option for you. So we Scottish Woodlands, the company that I work for, has a graduate development program, and so does some of the other big players like Till Hill. So that can be a really great option to, if you've studied forestry or studied your way to that point, to get an entry point into the industry. And of course, volunteering opportunities. There are some good ways to get volunteering experience, whether you're studying or whether you're still at school. And these can just be a sort of any age, and are just really good experience to maybe back up your studies or be an entry point to your sort of first experience of the industry. So just a bit of an example of where some of these pathways are. So as I said, I studied at UHI Inverness. at the Scottish School of Forestry, which is obviously a school set up and designed specifically to teach forestry. It's a great environment for that. There's also options at SRUC. Again, I said I studied there as well, so I did the countryside and environmental management course, which is not specifically forestry, but you do have an element of forestry in that course. And that's a great course as well if you were to complete that to be in a position for a graduate scheme as well. The modern apprenticeships are in partnership with Forestry and Land Scotland, obviously up here in Scotland. So that's what I say, that sets you up for a job as a craftsperson doing quite practical work and in the industry. And then myself, inside Scottish Woodlands and Tilhill, would offer graduate development programmes, and then just some suggestions of good places to start if you were looking to volunteer to gain experience. Nature Scot, Trees for Life, National Trust for Scotland and RSPB. I myself did a bit of volunteering for the National Trust for Scotland, and then a much smaller charity based in Fort William called the Nevis Landscape Partnership. So it was more kind of ranger based experience. So these are some of the options for you if you're looking for a pathway into forestry. So what is the industry looking for? As in, are you the right person for the industry? Would you get a job? I think what's really vital in our industry is enthusiasm. So willingness to learn and grow. Yes, you can study something and you can get a degree in it and you can, get to your interview and get the job. And you've done all this learning, but actually I'd say you learn more when you get into the job. It's definitely, you're always going to be learning new things. You're always going to be experiencing new things. So it's that willingness to take all that on board and that willingness to go, okay, actually I did study this, but maybe I don't know everything, because you're not going to know everything when you immediately start or when you're immediately trying to get into an industry. So really willingness to learn and to grow, and enthusiasm is vital, because I think enthusiasm just really comes through as a love for the job and a passion. So alongside that would be motivation, and that's just to do a good job. I think you have to be quite motivated in the job. It's similar to, as John mentioned, you can do long days if you're in a role where you're out and about and you're on the ground, boots on the ground. It can be tiring. You do have early starts. Well, in my role as a forest manager, I have early starts. I have to go meet and engage with contractors who like to start work at 7 in the morning and work till 7 at night. I have to work around their schedules. It can be just as simple as sort of taking phone calls and those sorts of things. And there is an element of potentially depending what role you're in forestry, you really need to be motivated to do the job and to do it well. Because that really comes through, and especially if you're engaging with landowners or clients, if they own forest, you need to be willing to do a really good job for that. And I guess experience is a tricky one, because obviously you can't get into the industry. They say it's difficult to get into the industry without experience, but then how do you get experience if you're not in the industry? It's a bit of a backwards one. And how do you get experience? So I would just say that experience doesn't have to be specifically in forestry. Also, there's so many transferable skills you can learn from volunteering in various roles. So I would just say, if you get any job opportunities that come up, go for them. Any sort of volunteering things, seek them out, try them out, gain as many skills as possible as you can, it just really backs up any education or any learning you're going to do in that particular sector. So yeah, experience is an important one, but I understand it can be a bit tricky, but there's definitely ways to show your experience and to get it. So in terms of selecting school subjects, I think for if you're going to find your way into the forestry industry, these are actually subjects that I did in school. So I got my hires in biology, geography, English, and PE. So I think it just kind of shows you that and I think these are quite valuable subjects, but actually biology is really relevant in terms of sciences and those sorts of elements of forestry. Geography is just, you're learning so much about the land and the landscape. It's so helpful. English, because I guess as well, actually, depending what role you take in the sector, there can be a lot of writing, there's lots of emails, there's quite a lot of grammar and punctuation, and so in my role specifically, so English can be quite helpful. Maths, and I think another one is people think, oh, actually I don't need maths in forestry, it's just cutting down trees, and actually it's a really vital part of my role. I use it every day. I have a calculator, a big old school style calculator on my desk, and I use it every day. I'm always doing maths and sums and working things out. And I think PE, I wouldn't say it's not an essential subject, but I think if you're somebody that enjoys physical activity, enjoys keeping fit, and maybe and enjoys being, it can be indoor sports, but outdoor sports in particular, forestry could be really good for you. And because there's an element of having physical fitness in some of the roles in forestry. So I would say that. Is forestry STEM? It definitely is. I think as well there's a tendency to think that it's not, but it really is. It is a STEM subject for sure. I think, every day I'm using these things. So in terms of science, I'm doing everything from forest science and how the forest grows and evolves, and vegetation and plant life, to soils and climate data. You're looking at rainfall, you're looking at temperatures, all these sorts of things, and ecology plays a massive role. You're looking at ecosystems, essentially, like you're looking at everything. You're looking at such a big picture if you're looking at forestry. So science is a massive part of the industry. Technology as well. So computers and IT, phones, tablets, computers, again, used on the daily. We have apps that we use every day. And so technology is a massive part. Drones are becoming a really helpful tool for us in forestry to take aerial photography, and you can use them to survey for certain like tree pests and diseases. Our sawmills, so obviously cutting down trees, these trees get sent off to sawmills to be processed. The sawmills have crazy technology, so many computers. It's like you're surrounded by screens, and there's trees going into the mill to be cut, and there's measurements and things. So there's lots and lots of technology used. There's weighing, there's measuring, all electronic. There's a lot of technology involved, and the haulage equipment as well. The lorries that are used to take timber to the mills and take them to the market. These lorries have cranes and so many operating and lifting equipment, and you can sit and load up the back of your lorry with logs with a virtual headset from the comfort of your driver's seat. Like, the technology's just gone like crazy in this industry. It's really, really innovative and really, really interesting. As engineering as well, like we do all sorts of construction in forestry, which I think is also forgotten. We build roads because we have to access trees. We have to access them to cut them and take them out of the forest. We build bridges because we have to cross rivers and burns and all these things. There's so many structures and so much machinery as well. We're operating big harvesting machinery, as well as the lorries and all these sorts of things as well, and equipment. So engineering is a massive part, and as I mentioned as well, like maths, I'm doing maths every day. You're analyzing data, you're collating and data and all these sorts of stuff. There's finances and budgets. I work in the private sector. Well, it's budgets in all sectors, but I work in the private sector where we have private landowners that own the woodland that we manage. So we have to present them with how we're gonna manage their forest and what that's gonna cost them. I do invoicing, all these sorts of things are really a vital part of my role. So not necessarily all jobs in forestry, but there'll be some element of maths and finances and stuff in roles. So yeah, that's that. And then why is trees and timber a great choice? Well, for me, I've done very well. I've found my right place. I've managed to achieve some really great things so far. That's me. Like, I'd written my dissertation. I was in the first class that ever did the BSc honours course at the college. So I was a bit of a guinea pig, but it was a great experience. So yeah, I wrote my 10,000 word dissertation. So that's me handing it in. My Lantra award. That's me next to my dad getting to graduate and join him in the industry that he's worked in and he loves so much. And then there's me completing my graduate scheme with our former managing director of Scottish Woodlands. So I've had some really big achievements in actually quite a small space of time, which I'm really proud of. And I think it just shows that the industry, if you're willing to work hard and put the hours in, the industry, it's really rewarding. You'll get a lot out of it. Just some examples of these are some of my sites from the last few years. There's just such a vast range of what I do in my job. Everything from, you see the top right there, like planting trees and the ground preparation to do that. to then, 45 years later, that's that tree being cut down. That's the harvesting site there, all the logs and all the wood that's going to go to the markets and into the mills. And then obviously machinery. I think it was the bottom corner here. There's the harvester, brand new harvester at the Royal Highland Show. I think it was last year. It's a forwarder. So that's lifting the trees out from when they've been cut. So yeah, really interesting machinery. There's some road building as well, as you can see. It's a really big part. And just like wildlife in general, and just some absolutely stunning places you get to go and see. Absolutely beautiful. I think one of the middle there is probably one of my favorite views. It's really, really pretty. So yeah, that's some pictures there. Oh, I just want to go to the next slide. Second. There we go. And just a bit of a kind of example as to the industry is really, really, really thriving at the moment and very innovative, and it just keeps growing. And I think it's such a current industry as well. There's so much going on that's relevant to everything going on kind of in the country at the moment. So I'm sort of saying, what kind of place is forestry in right now? Well, I think we're in a very good place. You can see we've got the females that are working on saws and are saying, we can do the job just as well. You've got haulage solutions, which are contributing to